is 12 o'clock, and here is the midday news. First, the top stories. Agency asks Ogun State residents to brace up for more rain and flood. Oshibajo meets northern leaders and warns troublemakers. Governor Okorocha says Ndigo not ready to fight another civil war. APC national chairman asks party to beware of electorate's voting power. On the foreign scene, several people killed in fire outbreak in London, 24-story tower block, and 100 migrants abandoned trying to cross Sahara Desert on way to Europe. Good afternoon, I am Chienye Egwuonwu, bringing you the details of the news shortly. Residents of Ogun State have been asked to brace up for massive flooding as rain sets in this year. Several other states are also asked to prepare for flood in the 2017 Annual Flood Outlook unveiled by the Nigeria Hydrological Service Agency on Tuesday in Abuja. The agency's Director General, Moses Beckley, presenting the forecast, also says most cities in the country will experience severe flooding due to the rise in the sea level and tidal surge. Other states the agency predicts will experience flood include Osun, Sokoto, Ekiti, Oyo, Ondo, Lagos, Delta, Kogi, Kwara, Adamawa, Anambra, Imo, Yobe, Rivers, Cross River, Kaduna, Kogi, Enugu, Niger, Benue, and Nasarawa states. An operative of the Police Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS, has died in a fatal auto crash along the Abeokuta-Shagam interchange. 4 other SAS operatives of the Ogun State Police Command were seriously injured in the accident, which occurred on Tuesday afternoon at a village near the proposed PMB estate. Spokesman of the Ogun State Traffic Enforcement and Compliance Corps Trace, Commander Babatunde Akimbi, who made this known, says the accident involved a Honda Saloon car marked LSD 191ET, conveying the 5 policemen and a truck. He explains that the accident occurred when the truck coming from Shagam interchange, end of the expressway, attempted to make a U-turn back to the exchange without notification. The car conveying the SAS operatives, according to him, rammed into the truck from the rear, leading to the death of the car's driver, identified as Sergeant Rafiu Olaoye, while the other 4 occupants sustained serious injuries. The Trace spokesman says the truck's driver escaped with his vehicle from the scene of the accident. The truck was later found abandoned at Oba, near has warned troublemakers and those making hate speeches that government will no longer tolerate them. Oshibajo says the presidency will take very seriously any attempt to cause violence or disrupt the peace of the country. He also warns that government will not spare anyone making speeches that can cause sedition or violence. The acting president issued the warning at a meeting with northern leaders at the presidential villa Abuja in the wake of the deadline issued by some northern youths to Ndigo to leave the northern region. Oshibajo, who noted that once violence begins, which cannot be controlled, wants that government will apply full force of law against any hate or divisive speech or any divisive behavior where it is necessary. The meeting had in attendance the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chairman of the Arewa Consultative Forum, the Chairman of the Northern Elders Forum, as well as former Governor Ali Wamako. During the week, Oshibajo will also meet with the Southeast leaders as part of the consultations on the October 1 deadline by some northern youth to Ndigos to leave the north. A professor of surgery, Professor Adedayo Oluyomi Tade, has called on government at all levels to urgently recruit general surgeons into the public health institutions nationwide to address the high rate of morbidity and mortality. Tade, who made the call while delivering the 75th inaugural lecture of the Olabisi Onabanjo University at Goiwe, says employing more general surgeons and training of the existing ones will bring necessary surgical care to the people. The professor noted that for reasons best known to a number of medical doctors, some of them are choosing specialized areas, leaving only few opting for general surgery. Tade, while asking the presidency to encourage medical doctors to choose medical surgery, says only 15% of medical doctors are medical surgeons instead of the required average of 50% of the medical doctors. The professor of surgery also blames the poor results of treatment of patients on inadequate health infrastructure, asking the presidency to implement the National Health Insurance Scheme to generate funds for the development of human and material resources. Governor Rochas Okorocha of Imo State says Indigo are not ready to fight another civil war. Okorocha asked activists of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, to stop their ongoing agitation for Biafra. The governor states their position in an interactive session with newsmen at the government house in Owerri. Okorocha urges Indigo youths to channel their agitation towards the economic advancement of the southeast region. Traffic offenders arrested by the Federal Road Safety Corps (FRSC) are to undergo psychiatric tests as from July 1. The Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi lists the class of offenders as those using phones while driving, violating traffic lights or routes, and driving dangerously. Boboye, who announces this in Abuja at a training workshop for FRSC officials, says the agency's commanders will be invited to a strategic session on Friday on the enforcement of the test. According to him, any of the offenders after their arrest will be referred to a government hospital for the checkup of his or her mental health to determine if such a person is fit to drive a vehicle. Such arrested offenders, he says, will foot the bill of the psychiatric test and pay the stipulated fine. APC National Chairman Chief John Odige Oyegun has asked the party to be mindful of the power of the electorate, recalling how the power was exercised in the 2015 polls. Odige Oyegun says the electorate could vote out of power if they repeat the mistakes the PDP made before the 2015 polls. Speaking at the presentation of a book at the APC National Secretariat in Abuja, Odige Oyegun explains that APC's defeat of a ruling party during the 2015 shows that the electorate could hire and fire political office holders. He asked other APC leaders who participated in the formation of the party to document the historic event for the posterity, because some people in the future may distort the history of the merger of parties that formed APC. You're still listening to the Midday News on Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business, and sports news. Please do stay with us. Now on the foreign scene, several people have died after a huge fire raged through the night at a West London 24-story tower block. Eyewitnesses said they saw people trapped inside a burning Grenfell Tower in North Kensington, screaming for help and shouting for their children to be saved. More than 50 people are being treated in hospital, says the London Ambulance. The Met Police have set up an emergency number for anyone concerned about friends or family. London Fire Commissioner Danny Cotton said there had been a number of fatalities, but she could not say how many because of the size and complexity of the building. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held secret talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the opposition leader Isaac Herzog last year to promote a plan that would have recognized Israel as a Jewish state. A report by the Haaretz newspaper says several Arab countries helped broker the April 2016 secret meeting in Cairo with the aim of forming a coalition government in Israel between Netanyahu's Likud party and the Herzog's Zionist Union party. The regional leaders felt Netanyahu's right-wing government was not capable of implementing a peace initiative which they held 2 months earlier, and approached Herzog asking for his help in promoting the plan, according to the report. The meeting in Cairo came off the heels of a secret 4-way summit in the Jordanian port city of Aqaba in February 2016, also reported by Haaretz, where Sisi, Netanyahu, then U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, and Jordan's King Abdullah II were prepared to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. Nearly 100 migrants have been rescued after being abandoned trying to cross the desert in northern Niger. Jean Afrique quotes a local newspaper as reporting that the 92 people who were picked up by the army were on the verge of dying. The migrants are now being looked after by the International Organization for Migration in Dikur, northern Niger. The IAM head of mission, Giuseppe Lopretti, has said that these migrants were saved because they were abandoned near a well. 2 weeks ago, 44 migrants trying to cross the desert to reach Libya also died of thirst. Next is the business news. Presidency has kicked off the process for preparing the proposed 2018 budget bill hours after the 2017 budget bill was signed by acting President Chienye. Osinbajo, while signing the 2017 budget bill into law on Monday, had promised that the 2018 budget will be submitted to the National Assembly by October to facilitate its passage by December. The program tagged flag off of 2018 budget preparation process began on Tuesday at the old banquet hall of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Top government officials in attendance included Ministers of Budget and National Planning, the Power, Works and Housing, Women Affairs, and Foreign Affairs. Also in attendance were heads of ministries, departments, and agencies. The 2017 budget bill, which was submitted by President Buhari to the National Assembly last December, was passed early last month. Finally, sports news. Sunshine FC of Akure has been banished from their base in the Ondo State capital to Otumba Dino International Stadium in Ijebode. The league management company on its website also suspended the club's goalkeeper from 12 matches. The club was also fined 1 million naira. The league sanctioned the club for the unruly behavior of players, officials and fans during their 2-1 home loss to Plateau United in a match day 23 played behind closed door due to previous sanctions. That was the midday news, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Agency asked Ogun State residents to brace up for more rain and flood. Osinbajo meets northern leaders and warns troublemakers. Governor Okorocha said Ndibo not ready to fight another civil war. APC national chairman asked party to beware of electorate's voting power. And on the foreign scene, we reported that several people killed in fire outbreak in London 24-story tower block, and 100 migrants abandoned trying to cross Sahara Desert on way to Europe. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you so much for listening. I am Chienye Egwuonwu. Good afternoon.